This is the story of a young girl, a dead-end job, a hopeless love life, no idea where she's going and what the future holds. It's the story of a young man who knows where he's going, greatly in love, and knows what the future holds. Together, these two souls are thrust together by fate to create one of the most epic love stories of our time. To a backdrop of nuclear war, rogue AI, murderous cyborgs, and humanity on the brink of extinction, this is, of course, the Terminator. Did it, did it. Did it, did it. James Cameron's 1984 classic. It kicked open the door for James Cameron's career, shot on a shoestring budget and making its money back tenfold, giving him access to make one of the greatest sci-fi action sequels of all time in Aliens, as well as another of the greatest sci-fi action sequels of all time in Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Also providing him with a future filmography that is nothing short of incredible. Hell, he was even parodied in South Park, albeit with respect. How many people can say that? It made Schwarzenegger a household name, and yeah, he was big, no pun intended, in the fitness circles. Conan got him noticed, but without old Cameron, I doubt we'd have Commando, Total Recall, Predator, and basically everything else that made the Austrian oak the legend he is today. Its impact as a film is legendary, and is often overlooked compared to T2 Judgment Day. It's a film with its foot squarely in horror, following all the tropes of the slasher genre, but with a James Cameron twist. This vision was born out of dodgy Eastern food, and we've all been there, I'm sure we can all relate. And a fever dream caused by the bad food. A delirious Cameron imagined a metal skeleton rising up from flames and chasing him. After recovering, he sat up and painted his vision, as he was a skilled artist working on movies prior to this, such as Escape from New York, to create the matte paintings in the work of John Carpenter's classic. He went on to the Roger Corman School of Art, a budget filmmaking college where if you had an idea, they'd make it, no matter the budget, as long as it was low. The film was made on a shoestring budget as mentioned, and the casting of the Terminator was vital. Lance Henriksen, who would go on to play Bishop in Aliens, almost had the part, as it gave Cameron the idea that he was almost like a praying mantis. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. But for now, the small cop role that Henriksen played would suffice, as future roles would certainly go on to make him something of a legend. In a more curious case, O.J. Simpson was one of the many names brought up for the T-800. However, the studio felt that no one would believe O.J. Simpson as a killer. Good call, studio. Good call. Arnold originally wanted to play Kyle Reese, but Cameron knew better and basically told Arnold no. And when Cameron says no, Cameron means no. Arnold was definitely against the idea of being a villain, but once he understood the vision, he got on board. He still had his doubts though, believing that the film didn't really have much of a future. He was basically a millionaire already, was Schwarzenegger. The world of bodybuilding had made him a star in his own right, and a string of wise property developments and investments had earned him more than a pretty penny. His desire, though, was to act. Conan had given him a hit worldwide and understood that the world was bigger than America. He was a star in Europe through bodybuilding and used it to help promote his films overseas. Arnold was in awe of Cameron's vision and his work ethic and dedicated himself to the role of the T-800. The role was ideal. Minimal dialogue for the soulless machine, roughly 28 lines of dialogue in total. 3 of those lines being the iconic and immortal "I'll be back," which would follow Arnold through pretty much every role he ever did, ever. The film was made without proper licensing, meaning they'd have to find a spot to shoot, get out, shoot the scene, and get out of there before the police would show up to question anything that's going on. For instance, in the scene with Arnold punching in a car window, that was all done in broad daylight without proper licensing. They literally jumped out of a van with cameras, Arnold punched in the windscreen, and they bailed as quickly as they possibly could. Guerrilla filmmaking, as Cameron called it, strike fast and bail. The Terminator himself is pure horror, a cold, soulless killing machine with one objective in mind: to kill the character Sarah Connor by any means. Burn it, shoot it, blow it up, it will not stop ever until she is dead. This brings me to Linda Hamilton. Hamilton was nothing unique. A few TV roles under her belt and a commercially successful film under her belt. But Sarah Connor would make her an icon. Sarah would go from terrified and scared victim to burgeoning badass during the 2-hour film. She was scared, vulnerable, and terrified by her situation, unsure of what to believe and who to trust, but coming to understand her worth and strength through the film, and growing into one of cinema's most strong and iconic female characters, with perhaps only Sigourney Weaver's Ellen Ripley to hold a candle to. Linda would become synonymous with the role, particularly after the sequel, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Michael Biehn would play Kyle Reese, a PTSD-stricken fish out of water. He imbued the role with peak intensity, playing the soldier of the future apocalypse. In the modern day, he played it straight, and the film took him seriously, being the audience's window into the world and the entire film resting on his performance. He's often overshadowed by Arnold's T-800, but without Biehn and his performance, we wouldn't have this series. He plays Kyle with a panic, fear, and determination where you can't help but root for him. The lone soldier with a mission. If he fails, humanity is doomed. He is the last defense against our extinction, with a role bigger than he realizes. He's traumatized, lagged with PTSD, but he only knows war and duty, and is loyal to John Connor. A deleted scene shows Kyle at odds with the beauty of what he sees: trees, rivers, flowers, the green. He knows none of this, only the scorched earth, blackened skies, and perpetual doom and terror, constant loss, and always running. To see such things breaks him, and it's truly heartbreaking to see. The scene was cut due to how it makes Sarah appear, but in my eyes, this may be Biehn's single greatest moment as an actor. If that's not, I do not know what is. The Terminator is a staple of sci-fi horror. Alas, Terminator 2 overshadowed its impact massively. The simple horror of Terminator comes from how well the actors sell it. But consider the T-800 itself. The more damage it takes, the more it rots and putrefies. By the end, he may as well be a zombie, pale, necrotic, flesh attracting flies. It looks like the dead have risen and out to cause pure horror. The effects are, without a doubt, dated by today's standards, particularly when compared to its sequel, Terminator 2. But effects don't make a movie, and the story is what matters, and how well they are played. And it's safe to say that everyone involved in the original Terminator movie sold their parts like their lives depended on it. All the more meaning this film would last as an all-time classic. There have been multiple sequels since this first film, the most notable naturally being Terminator 2: Judgment Day. However, all future sequels, with maybe the exception of the fourth in the franchise, Terminator Salvation, have all basically tried to redo what made Terminator 2 so special. An impossible endeavour. The Terminator is prime evidence of everything that makes cinema great. Hollywood loves hashing out pointless sequels, and every film wants to be Terminator 2. Perhaps it's time to scale it back and go back to the terror and horror of the original film. That's all for now, but to quote the legend himself,